Good morning. Welcome to our second day at our Western Regional Conference. I hope you learned a lot yesterday, and I hope you took back a lot of notes and are ready to start today. Today we have a special guest from Seattle City Light. Deborah Smith is our General Manager and CEO of Seattle City Light. Seattle City Light is one of the nation's largest community-owned electric utilities. City Light serves more than 460,000 meters and takes care of 900,000 people across Seattle and parts of 8 adjacent cities. Previously, Deborah served as Central Lincoln's PUD General Manager from 2013 through 2018. She brought to that 17 years of experience from Eugene Water and Electric Board, where she held a variety of positions, including the Assistant General Manager. Deborah's earned her Bachelor of Science in Finance from Arizona State University and is a Senior Fellow with the American Leadership Forum of Oregon. She currently serves as Chair of Public Power Council and is on the board of the Pacific Northwest Utilities Conference Committee. Deborah and her husband Dale have raised 3 sons and 2 daughters. They love the city life and have a home in Eugene, Oregon as well. The Smiths enjoy travel, time with friends and family, and hanging out with their grandson, Oliver. So Deborah will come to the stage and she's going to give a presentation. And then afterwards, we're going to have live Q&A with you on that. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Deborah to the stage.
Great. Hi. Welcome to Seattle. My name is Deborah Smith, and I'm the General Manager and CEO of Seattle City Light, and I'm so honored to be here with you today. So Seattle is famous for a lot of things: our weather, the iconic Space Needle, Costco, Microsoft, Amazon, of course. It's great to be a tech center of the United States. We have amazing professional sports teams, both men's and women's. Of course, Grey's Anatomy, Sleepless in Seattle, and lots of other amazing places. I hope sometime soon you'll be able to join us here in person and check out our city if you're not from the area. We have the 4th largest port in North America, and our city is proudly named after Chief Siahi of the local Duwamish and Suquamish tribes. The Seattle area was actually inhabited by Native Americans for at least 4,000 years before the first permanent European settlers joined us here. So again, we wish you were here in person. We can't wait for the date when we can welcome you again. So before I start on my comments, I want to just make sure I acknowledge Lori Moen, who's your outgoing chair and a valued employee of Seattle City Light. Lori chartered the local AEE chapter in 2004, has provided support and been involved in so many ways since including her current stint as local board chair, as the board chair. Lori is direct, creative, always poised, results driven, and is a key and valued member of City Light's customer care and energy solutions management team, or as they call it, the portfolio team, which is a great concept and one I just learned about in the last couple of weeks. I have great memories of Lori. When I started at Seattle City Light, it was about, I think I did the math, it's 20 months ago. And Lori was one of the first people to take me out and see some things. She took me to a chapter meeting of a local organization. I don't remember what it was, but we had the opportunity to visit, and I was impressed from the beginning about the depth and breadth of her experience and her involvements. So we're happy to have her here, and we've been happy to loan her to you. And we welcome and appreciate the opportunity to participate in such an important organization. So thank you. So a little bit about Seattle City Light, maybe a little bit about me. So Seattle City Light, I've been here, like I said, 20 months. And when I joined, it was kind of felt like an opportunity to go home again. I had spent 17 years at the Eugene Water and Electric Board, which is about, 300 miles south of Seattle in Eugene, home of the Oregon Ducks. And Eugene was a small Seattle. Politics of the cities are fairly similar, and the environmental ethic and the commitment to energy efficiency were very similar. And in fact, being at the Eugene Water and Electric Board, Seattle City Light was kind of like the big brother. You thought, wow, that's an amazing organization, the grandfather of energy efficiency. And in fact, I would say that at least for many, many years before we all started to get a whole lot smarter about the impacts of our choices, be it with consumption or other things, um, E- EWEB, Aspire, and EWEB and Seattle City Light were probably the two utilities, at least in this part of the country, or probably across the United States, who led the way from many others. So that was back in the 70s. And Seattle's commitment to those same values have held strong ever since. Um, it's important to us, it's important to our community, it reflects our community values. And most importantly, I think now we know it's important to the future for our kids and for our grandkids. I have one 4-year-old grandson, and as I make decisions or recommendations, I think about how my actions today can help make his world a better world as he's growing up having children, or conversely, how choices we make today can have negative impacts on the people that we love the most. So it's a great reminder every day. So mission and vision. Seattle City Light has, when I acquired the utility, and Seattle had a mission and vision, and we have spent the last couple of years working to refine those. I'm pulling it up on another screen, and I know we're all getting very comfortable with the technical challenges of life working remotely, but we've just done some revamps, which I think are minor, but they say important things about where we're headed as a utility, and actually, quite frankly, where I think we're headed as an industry and as an energy service provider. And what does it mean today to be an electric utility or any form of energy service provider with a customer base who is so much more um, intelligent, engaged, and just smart. Our customers today know what they want. They know what they want from their energy provider, and they want to be part of the decision-making process. It's no longer a paternalistic world where utilities and others can sit back and decide what's best for our customers. We absolutely know we need to listen to them. We need to respond to them. We need to be developing creative solutions that meet their needs. Honestly, that's one of the things that I admire most about Lori. Is Lori's part of probably the most creative group at City Light, and I think that was true. That's been true in my 25 years in this industry. The folks who are on the ground providing energy efficiency and other services, they have the closest connection to our customers, with perhaps the exception of our line staff when the power goes out. But these are the folks, our energy efficiency folks, who get to come in and again help craft solutions that meet our customers' needs. And Lori and her group have been really fantastic in moving with the trends and moving with as things evolve. What is the next set of products and services that we can offer? And I know she's working on that right now. So our new mission is Seattle City Light provides our customers with affordable, reliable, and environmentally responsible energy services. So, not a lot of difference there, but it used to say we deliver them, and it used to talk about electricity. And what we know today is that we're providing solutions. And I don't know what those solutions will look like in the future. They will likely look very different than just a line and a drop into your home. Again, customers want choice, and they need a partner to help them make good choices and then to support them in whatever choices they make. And I think that's the evolving role of my utility and of our industry in general. The other word that changed again was moving from electricity to energy, because we don't know how that will look. And I think when we think about microgrids and uh, you know installed solar, local or neighborhood battery packs, it's a very different world. And I think we may very well wind up providing or helping to support energy services that customers have self-provided. So there's a whole business model that's changing, and we all hear about that all the time. But what we wanted was a mission that reflected those changes. So hence the small wording. Now, what's really different is the vision. We had an extremely long vision. I don't think there was anybody at City Light who knew what it was, and it was good. If you read it, it spoke truth. but it wasn't something that captured what we were really trying to accomplish. So our new vision is to create a shared energy future by partnering with our customers to meet their energy needs in whatever way they choose. So keywords, partnering, customer choice, not utility choice, and again, energy needs, not products and services. Whatever it takes to meet your energy needs in whatever way you choose, that's what we want to be for and what we want to support at CLC Life. So, little changes, but they mean a lot. And I'm proud to say we're actually just rolling recording this with our staff, with our strategic thinkers at the utility. So this is real time and really excited to make some changes. So when I came to City Light, there was an existing strategic plan. The way we plan for the future is we do a 6-year look, and it refreshes. So we have completed a strategic plan this year. We've been working on it. We started late summer, early fall of 2019. We did some cool things. We went through, we did scenario planning. We actually looked at a future that was fairly similar in some ways to the future that we're living right now. And so it was constructive, even where we are. But as we got through the process, and our process for strategic planning includes a community-based review panel, lots of employees, our executive team, obviously, ultimately the city council and the mayor's office. When COVID came, we realized that to roll that plan out would be somewhat tone deaf. So we pulled back and we adjusted. So we've completed the plan, but it will be a shelf document. We often talk about strategic plans as shelf documents, and this one actually will be. We will pull it back out, update it as needed when we see the city of Seattle moving into a real economic recovery. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about COVID and other current events in just a couple minutes. So we are continuing to live under our existing strategic plan, which was a great document, again, that I inherited. And when I got here, I read it, obviously read it a number of times, and I pulled out 4 priority areas, and then we added a 5th. And that's what we've been operating under since I came, and it's what we'll continue to operate under until we get that new strategic plan out. So the 4 priority areas and then the 5th are as follows. 1, customers first. We talked a lot about creating a customer-centric culture, and Seattle had experienced so much growth that in some ways, some of our customers, the only way they could deal with the demands of a community that was growing that quickly was to distance themselves a bit from our customers. So we're changing that, and we're really re-engaging the importance of the relationship, the importance of listening, the importance of being, again, creative, responsive, agile, and really the importance of proactive communication and putting our customers first. So that's priority 1. Priority 2 was to have safe and engaged employees. So Seattle went through kind of a tough spot, again, with the growth. We had some tech projects that went into place that made things hard for our customers for a while. It made things hard for our employees who were serving those customers. And long before I got here, management, senior management, realized that they had real work to do to improve relationships with employees and to create a culture where everyone felt safe and supported in coming to work and able to do their best every day. So we've been doing a lot of work around that. Change is slow, and that's culture change, and it doesn't happen overnight. It rarely happens as quickly as we would like or as employees would like, but I feel good about the progress we're making. And one of the goals is to communicate, communicate, communicate. Another is to really engage our employees in our mission, vision, and where we're going. And so we're working on that. Number 3 was revenue stabilization through rate redesign. So consumption at City Light has been dropping for a number of years because of our cumulative investment in energy efficiency, adoption of renewables, and other things. And that's good. We want customers, as you know, we want customers to be efficient, mindful consumers of our products and services and to be part of creating this future that we all desire. Oh, at the same time, we have a business model that needs to be supported. And so we still have tiered rates going back to the 70s. Great tool to encourage energy efficiency and still serves us well in many ways. But again, as we move forward, we want to be able to encourage electrification. We want to stabilize our revenues so that we can plan mindfully and appropriately for the future. And we want to send appropriate price signals to our customers. So we've been rolling out, and we'll be rolling out a couple too, rate pilots, August 1. We're looking at time of day rates for both electric vehicle owners and users, but also for mass transit. We've put in a really cool program. To be honest, signups have been slow because of COVID, but it's a plan that really creates a safety net for our customers who struggle the most, customers who really have the lowest incomes, and it allows them to have an energy burden similar to our other customers. And we're rolling it all up, wrapping it up with lots of energy efficiency services so that they can go through this pilot with a different fixed rate and no fixed charge, and then come out of that with a home or a dwelling that is more efficient going forward. So good work there. We thought about, is it the right time to continue to push it forward? And we are, because ultimately what we want is we want to be able to offer all of our customers opt-in time of day rates that allow them to continue to be wise users of our products and services, but to have a little more control. Again, that's what they want, a little more control. We'll continue to offer tiered rates. And ultimately what we'd like to be is a place where customers can go in, use our portal, price their products and services using historical data and multiple pricing plans. And I think that's where we're all headed as an industry. The fourth priority, and really key and very key right now, is electrification is the key to deep decarbonization. So say that again, electrification is the key to deep decarbonization, and we can and should electrify everything. I'm gonna talk a little bit about electrification in the context of our COVID response, but it's an area where we are all in, we are focusing. We believe that is the future. In fact, we created a whole new business unit whose mantra is "the future is now," and that's where electrification works or lives. And I guess I'll just say that for me, electrification is the thing that we as an industry can be excited about. It's the thing that will allow us to continue to invest deeply in energy efficiency going forward. And it is the thing that is going to be best for our country, for our world, for our climate. So electrify everything. And the fifth priority that we added, which has also become even more relevant in the last number of months, is to be a good city partner. We are a municipal utility, and unlike some municipals, including EWEB that I mentioned before, we don't have our own elected board. We are a city department. I am a city department head. I am a member of the mayor's cabinet. We are the largest department in terms of budget because we do have, as you know, a sizable capital budget as well. And we are the second largest behind police in terms of employee count. So we have a big presence. And in the past, we had tended to kind of carve ourselves out, set ourselves aside. And there's value in that, and the folks that came before me that took that strategy had good reasons to do so. But what we know now is under Mayor Durkin's leadership, many of us on the cabinet today are people that she selected. We have great relationships. We work well together. We're excited to spend time together and to work, for me, not just on solving the utilities issues and providing effective leadership at the city, but I have an amazing opportunity to participate with this team of really, really smart, dedicated public servants as a member of the cabinet to solve problems for the city of Seattle. And I think that especially if, again, going back to the mission and the vision and our community's interest in deep decarbonization, in their energy service provider, and the role that the utility can play in helping to make Seattle a smart city in the future, I think being close to other departments, working collaboratively has never been more important. And so I would say, as far as being a good city partner, there's always so much more we can do, but I feel proud of what we've been doing so far. So I want to talk about two more things. I want to talk a little bit more about electrification and what that looks like for us. And then I just want to cover a few current events at City Light. So I'm actually going to file electrification down there under current events so that I can end on a positive note, all right? So, pandemic response. Our city our county was the initial hotspot here in the United States, which I suppose in many ways gave us some advantages going forward. I think our communities were very clear that this was something very real and very serious that we needed to deal with. Our leadership at the state, county, and city level, Mayor Durkin has been a notable proponent for how and an advocate and speaker for how to deal with an issue of this size and complexity for such a large city. So, what did we do? Again, this is an opportunity and has been a tremendous opportunity for us to work across city departments in a collaborative way. Uh, City Light did the same things that many utilities have done. Most utilities have done. We suspended late fees. We suspended shutoffs. We have been working very proactively with our customers through customer care and energy solutions. So Lori's had a hand in that to meet them at their point of need, to reach out proactively again to ask them how we can help, to put folks on payment plans, whatever works for you. We stood up a self-certification of our utility discount program, which is a lifeline for people, and it has been a lifeline for a number of people during this time. And we will continue to look for new ways, new services, new programs that we can offer to help our customers navigate. Uh, Internally, we've done a pretty good job, I would say. Our crews largely went home. We rotated a third, so that we always had people fresh. We had people on base, and we had people reporting to work. We suspended all planned customer outages to make it easier to live and work and school from home. And we've had about 95% of our non-field employees working remotely, and they've been pretty successful. I have said, and I have been quoted as saying, I don't think I will ever work 5 days in the office again. And I think that will make me a better leader, to be honest. I think that we have learned how to interact with each other. We're still providing coaching and training for our employees on how to do that and how to motivate your staff when you're not in person. And some of us, I feed off of energy. It's actually kind of hard for me to do this talk right now, not being there in the room with you. And I look forward to the Q&A where it will feel more like I am. But you know what? We are getting good at tools. We are working hard, and these are important ways that ultimately we're going to help. They will also help our global and national response to climate change because we will be working and traveling less. I think commuting less in the future. I think we will hold on to many of these. And that's been a key tenet of our COVID response. City Light has had the opportunity to help support the city's overall internal department COVID response. And we committed at the beginning, long before Mr. Floyd's death, that we would stand this city up in a way that made it better than ever. That we had this one moment that we could pivot from and reopen Seattle in a way that slowed or that changed the landscape around systemic racism and institutionalized racism. That we could, as we reopen services, we could think once really deeply about who are the folks most damaged, most impacted by this disease, but also by perhaps longstanding policy changes or policy positions that the utility or the city has held. And so we said, you know what? We don't want to open things up the way they were. We want to open things up in a way that moves us forward as a city. And for the city of Seattle, long-standing issues of racial equity, environmental equity, social justice have long been issues of big concern. So commitment to do that. And then, of course, things moved into this period of civil unrest. And again, we find ourselves at the center of it. We are learning, we are growing, we are working together as a team, the cabinet, and the mayor's office, and the council members, and community, to identify paths forward again that will uh, allow us to begin to heal, allow us to reopen the city in ways that support all of our community. Uh, we are learning that just doing things the way that we, government, think they should be done isn't right. We need to actively engage with our community, and that's hard sometimes because community isn't homogenous. Um, and it is a process, and it is hard right now because we are receiving, it feels like almost daily national attention for things that are happening up on Capitol Hill, and in our neighborhoods. But we also are so proud. A couple weeks ago, we had 50,000 people engaged in a silent walk for Black Lives Matter. We work in an industry, the electric industry, the energy industry, that has long been a fairly homogenous group of often white men and women, and quite frankly, often white men. We've been working hard as an industry to change that over a long period of time. But again, there are systemic reasons why it's hard to bridge that gap, even when it's a goal. And I'm sure that many of you work places where that's a goal, and yet it's still hard. So I think we're at a place where we need to figure out what is it that we're doing wrong? What is it that we need to do differently? What are different opportunities to move us forward the way we want to be? Um, and so I don't want to say that things are good or great here in Seattle right now, but they are what they are, and we are committed to learning and growing from them. And we are committed to healing, and we are committed, I am committed as a white woman of privilege to doing my part uh, to, to change and to break down these barriers that prevent us from being one Seattle. And we've talked about one Seattle as, you know, all of the city departments being one Seattle. But what if we were one Seattle? Um, you know, all lives can't matter unless Black lives matter, and that's a new concept for me, and it's one I'm working hard to embrace every day. So the last thing I want to end with, which is the positive thing, is one of the things we've done during this COVID response period and during this period of civil unrest is we stood up a team. And we have a director of energy resources of innovation. His name is Emeka, great, young, high energy guy. And he brought to us a director of electrification from New York. And together we said, hey, while things are slowed down, we've got a lot of really smart people who need to be challenged and who have contributions to make. We also know that, or we hope we know, that at some point the federal government will begin stimulus programs, we hope. And we know that there's a lot of focus on transportation and a lot of focus on electrification. So our goal was to develop a portfolio of projects that would be shovel ready so that when programs became available, we would be in a position to compete for them. So this is the beginning of week 7, and it is the final week of our grid modernization and grid enhancement project, which we have called and branded internally as Utility Next 2.0. There are actually, I think, 11 projects that are in this portfolio that have been scoped, budgeted, close to 30% design, and ready to go. They will be ready to roll, I'm told, by the end of this week. Crazy and a great way to use a time that many folks are down to really improve the options and the way our future will look. So it's an approach with weekly sprints, and they've used Microsoft Teams for almost all of their work. It's an approach that I want to see us use elsewhere. I think it can serve us really well. Agile project management. I'm not a student of it, but would like to be. And I think it will position us to really be a player in the future and to continue down the path of Seattle as a smart city, a tech center, a city of the future, even as that future looks different and so different than we even imagined 6 months ago. So I want to just thank you for your time. Thank you again for being here, for inviting me, being here virtually. Enjoy the conference, learn a lot. Think about, as you're learning things, as you're hearing from others, think about how the things that we're talking about today and the things that you're talking about over the next couple of days can be used to stand your communities and your organizations up in new, different, better, more just ways. So thank you again for your time.
Deborah, thank you very much for joining us this morning and for those insightful and very informative comments. And thanks also for taking some time out of your schedule to do a question and answer session with our attendees today. I'd like to first say that we certainly join your comments and echo that Seattle's a great city. We always love coming there, and we're disappointed that we're not able to meet in Seattle in person, but we're pleased to be able to meet virtually today, and we're already making plans to return to Seattle in the summer of 2022 and meet in person again, bringing together all of our stakeholders, and so we look forward to that. I'd like to also thank Seattle City Light for their support and sponsorship of AEE West again this year as a co-host. And I think you've been very involved and supportive of AEE and our West Coast Pacific Northwest events over the past 15 years. So I definitely want to join and thank you for your participation and support. So I'd like to also, you mentioned Lori Moen. We certainly want to recognize Lori and her work both within Seattle City Light, within AEE, both with the local Pacific Northwest chapter, the Columbia River chapter, but also with AEE on a national and an international basis. Lori, as you're aware and mentioned, she was international president of AEE last year in 2019, so she's now past president. And, we're 42 years old, our association. She's only our third female president. And so we've got some work to do, obviously. I'm happy to say that our secretary for 2020 and will be a president in 2022 is Dr. Fatou Al-Ragoum from Kuwait. So although 3 female presidents in the first 42 years, we'll have 2, in a term of 4 years. So we certainly, realize we have work to do and are working to have more women involved with AEE and leadership roles. So I think that leads me really from my first question is, as you mentioned, our workforce in the energy and engineering field has been male dominated for many, many years. And so, what's the makeup of the workforce at Seattle City Light? What programs do you have to attract and retain, a more diverse workforce, and maybe some things that have worked for Seattle City Light that we can use within our organizations to have a more diverse workforce?
Thanks, Bill. That's a great question. First of all, thank you again for having me here. I was telling Bill on the pause, I wish someone had told me to look down during the recording of my speech. So apologies for anyone who found themselves looking up at my face that way. We are all learning to do things in new and different ways. And I will also say, in case you've noticed, you're in a different place with me today. So you are now in my Seattle apartment. You were in my home in Oregon when I was recording a couple of days ago. So welcome to Seattle. Now I can officially say that because you are looking out over the city behind me. So I will say that when I came to City Light, I think I mentioned this, we'd had some issues, some cultural issues, which we continue to have. I mean, these aren't changes that we make quickly, but some people before me put some great programs into place. We have an apprenticeship program that we work hard to create diverse classes. I will say that remains challenging. I think many of us have experienced that cohort groups, or I think we're getting more comfortable with the notion of what's a caucus. So cohort groups or caucuses, they provide the support that we need to do good work, particularly when we're not in the majority. And that's hard when we look at our traditional apprenticeship roles. So have more work to do there. a group of people at City Light put together an internal Women in Power group. And they did that a number of years ago. And many of our trade associations have similar organizations. I participate in a number of them. But the group that we have at City Light there are regular presentations to support women in the industry. There is a mentorship program that's attached to that where both men and women serve as mentors for women who are perhaps earlier in their career or making an adjustment to the new industry. We are really trying, and I think I mentioned this, we're trying to make City Light and all of the city of Seattle a place where people can come to work and do their very best every day. And that requires conversation and dialogue. So many of these are things we mentioned, but when I came in, there was a sense that many of our cultural issues were a result of managers and supervisors who didn't know how or didn't have the skills, or in some cases who didn't want to fully support their employees, their diverse employees. And so we've been training them. We've really been focusing first on managers and supervisors and people leaders. I think traditionally, many of our organizations put all employees through some form of diversity training or cultural training that is around respectful workplace, et cetera. And we decided to really start with managers and supervisors. So that's been a focus for us, but lots and lots of work to go and to do.
Great, thanks for that. And I think there's certainly some things there that we can all take back to our organizations and work to implement as we try and improve things. AEE has a division, a Council on Women in Energy and Environmental Leadership. Lori Moen is active in that, along with Marianne Lauderdale, Lori Wiegand-Jackson, and others, where we try and get more women involved and also have a mentoring program. So certainly we all have a long way to go, but it's good to hear some of the initiatives at City Light and things that we can take and aspire to and hopefully replicate within our organizations.
And Bill, one more thing I want to just throw out. I was listening to a mini TED Talk yesterday, and there was something, I can't even remember, so apologies to the woman who was speaking, but she talked about allyship, and I think right now we're all talking about that a lot, and we're talking about it in particular with respect to our people of color and our Black communities, Black and Brown communities. But I think that the three things that she threw out that I found really helpful were, to be an effective ally, we need to be educated. So we need to do the work to learn about what the issues are for the people that we are trying to support. And this is true whether it's a person where race is the defining issue, whether it's gender, whether it's people in non-traditional roles. People need allies. And I think one of the things we're learning right now is that it's not fair of me to expect my Black employee, I have a woman that works for me who's in charge of people and culture. She's one of my officers. It's not fair for me to expect her to tell me how to support her. That's my job. So that's where education comes in. Number two is empathy. And I think sometimes when these programs don't work, it's because we forget to empathize with the people who have struggled and to do what we can, which is hard. I cannot understand what it is like to be a Black woman who worries for the safety of my children. I have 3 sons, and that's just not been an issue for me. But I can certainly put the time in to think about it and to try and empathize with what that must feel like. And if I have good friends, to talk to them about it and try and understand. And so again, education, empathy, and probably you can guess what number 3 is. It's action. Because we can sit around and we can read and we can talk, but at the end of the day, what matters is what we're able to do on behalf of the people that we want to support and provide allyship for. And so when I mentioned our Women in Power program, some of the folks who've been most instrumental in getting that off the ground initially and in supporting it year after year, for instance, my Chief Operating Officer, Mike Haynes, white guy, electrical engineer. And I don't know if you can hear the background noise, hopefully not, but there are a bunch of sirens right now, so I'm a little distracted. So if you take one thing away from this talk, let it be education, empathy, and action in your allyship.
Great, thanks for that. I made a note of that, and very, very good point. So why don't we get into, we got lots of questions coming in from our attendees. Maybe here's an easy one. This is from Juan Riego of GSA. He says, does Seattle City Light offer demand response and or emergency response programs for customers to shed load?
Great question. And I'm going to start by saying I probably don't know the answer to all these questions because I've been, as I've mentioned, at City Light for about 20 months. But I will say that right now we do not. We do not have a formal program. We've been looking at it, and we did gain broad approval from our City Council last fall in 2019 to offer a number of pilots. I think I mentioned that. And one of them is demand response. And so we've been working collaboratively with the Bonneville Power Administration, with some of our largest customers, to look at putting together a demand response pilot. We're not there yet. It's not one of the programs we're rolling out August 1, but it remains really important to many of our customers, and it's something that we very much want to do. So we're kind of looking at it in a partnership opportunity. I think, like a lot of folks, having folks participate is in some ways just a function of the economic benefits that flow to them. Prices are low right now. It's a hard thing. So I think we continue to work on it. We did do one, again, in conjunction with Bonneville and a third party that they were working with when I was at Central Lincoln, and also at EWEB back in the energy crisis. And I would guess, without knowing, that Seattle may have done more manual types of programs than what we are currently envisioning today back in the day, and that's what those were. So a great opportunity looking forward.
Great, thanks, Deborah. Next question. So here's one. We're just going to say this is anonymous because I said these would be easy toss-up questions. Here's one. As an electric utility provider, do you feel there's a bias in your assessment that we need to electrify everything? Obviously, electrification to decarbonization. So I'll just let you take that one.
That's the easy question. Well, I'm sure there's probably a bit of bias. Yeah, I'm sure there's a bit of bias. I think I mentioned in my remarks that I do think that energy efficiency and electrification go hand in hand. City Light over time has experienced a fairly significant decrease in load based on our cumulative investment in energy efficiency. And I think, like most utilities, we're looking at our business model. How do we pay our fixed costs during a time of declining usage and declining consumption, even while costs continue to go up? And so, yes, from a business model perspective, I think electrification will add load, and I will own that. But I also believe, and I am an electric vehicle owner and a brand new owner of 2 electric bikes. One for me, one for my husband. But I think that we lead in Seattle, and like many communities, with our ethos around environmental stewardship and climate change and reducing our greenhouse gas footprint. Mitigating for our impacts are things, quite honestly, that we do for environmental reasons. And honestly, it ties back to this other discussion. I mean, we as people have a responsibility to mitigate for our behaviors in life. And so I think that electrification right now, given the resources that are available to us, I don't think you can dispute that, at least in this part of the country where we are a hydro utility and we are essentially carbon free and greenhouse gas neutral. The environmental benefits are real. They're meaningful. In Seattle, despite all the work that's been going on, the growth up until now has meant that we've not been as successful in decreasing our overall impacts on the climate. So electrifying everything is probably the most important thing we can do. So yes and no.
Great answer. And, I'll say that certainly the industry is changing dramatically, and it's had huge transformation over the past 5 years when, just a few years ago, natural gas seemed to be the answer to everything. And now we're working to decarbonize. So certainly challenges, and thanks for the leadership role and great answer to that question. Here's another one. So for many utilities, I think the expense of repairing and replacing infrastructure is a major issue. So what's the status of the infrastructure within Seattle City Light, and do you have certain plans to address if there are needs in this area?
Yeah, that's a great question and a really relevant one right now, I have to say. And yes, it's true for electric utilities, it's true for natural gas utilities, it's true for water utilities. So the infrastructure load, especially in our urban environments where the cost and the disruption of replacements can result in really pushing things out sometimes. So I think I mentioned a priority for us right now is our accelerated pole replacement program. So we know we have poles that have aged faster than we had anticipated, and we know that we have not been as diligent in allocating resources and getting that work done. So I would say that over the next 3 years or so, that is a real focus for us. We have most of our system is fairly old. We do have a beautiful new substation, the Denny substation, which maybe you're familiar with, but for instance, much of our downtown has been served off of a couple of substations that are older. And so we are committed to making upgrades. We're working on our cell substation right now, replacing breakers, replacing transformers, and slowly bringing that to a place where it will provide the ongoing level of reliable service that our customers demand and need. I think another area that is hard right now is we have, like a lot of folks again, we have a lot of direct bury underground cable that we put in back a number of years ago. And that we now know that's not the way to go. And we had made some interim steps to shore up or to increase the life of that asset. And we know that we need to get in there. And when we look at our communities, the areas where we did the direct bury underground cable were primarily at the request of neighborhoods using local improvement districts. Those tend to be areas, and we have a responsibility to maintain the service and obviously an obligation to serve everyone. But at the same time, those tend to be our more affluent neighborhoods because those were the people who could vote on and agree to pay an LID. We know, especially right now, we know that if we just keep prioritizing things the way we always have, again, we won't change anything. So we haven't made any decisions there, but we are looking at, are there other ways that we could ensure the reliability that those customers have every right to expect while preserving more of our dwindling capital of resource to also do work in South Seattle and in places where the demographic is different. And so there's no one answer. We are scrubbing really, really hard right now. I just sent out an email at 9 o'clock this morning to all employees talking about the 2020 budget rebalancing package that our mayor is taking to council today. And that's one of the things I talk about at the end as we look ahead to 2021. We are going to be prioritizing resources that serve our BIPOC and more vulnerable populations going forward. And that's going to be hard. But it's something that we have to do if we really want to change the narrative.
Great. Next question is from Ben Samways. Ben says, I think City Light has embarked on a unique pilot which is used to achieve deep energy efficiency retrofits of commercial buildings. I think it's called MEETS. And how does that work? So if we're getting too deep in the weeds, we could certainly defer these to Lori, I think.
Yeah, well, and I can start on this one, and then you may want to get more information from Lori. So, and actually, we don't call it MEETS. So let me start with that. MEETS is metered energy efficiency. I can't remember what the rest of MEETS stands for. And MEETS was a pilot that we did with the Bullitt Center here in Seattle, and that's Dennis Hayes, who you've either already heard from or you will be hearing from, and so that was his baby, and it was a super successful partnership relationship. We've learned a ton, and so the product that we are out with right now is called Energy Efficiency as a Service. So it's slightly different. And I am not the person to talk about the nuance of the differences, but what it does is, yes, it is designed to get at that issue where in the traditional delivery model, the consumer of our product is who receives the benefits from energy efficiency. So there is relatively little incentive for a building owner to do deep retrofits because they won't receive the value for the investment. So what energy efficiency as a service does is it uses two agreements. So there's basically a power purchase agreement where we are buying back the savings from the building owner who's made the investment, and that provides a cash flow stream to that building owner that they can then in turn use to fund or to pay for debt service on monies that may have been borrowed to do the work. So we continue to have a relationship with the customer. The customer agrees to pay a premium for the power over which is key to what they would have otherwise paid. And for a period of time, those savings flow back to the building owner. So you have these two agreements. It's a pretty complex business model because you're shifting risk. You're charging a customer, and a customer is agreeing to pay for more than the stated than their actual consumption because they are agreeing to pass on those savings to the building owner. And so I think I know it is. I think we're one of the first utilities to offer the program. It's been really hard to get here. We have we issued our first RFP, and we have our first suite of buildings that we've selected. And I'm really happy because trying to make everybody happy and meet the needs of both the development community, customers, building owners, our folks, our risk management people, it was definitely a give and take, and the partnership, again, and including with Dennis Hayes, was critical in getting us to where we are.
Great response. I think you certainly hit that one out of the park. So thanks for that. So you mentioned you drive and own an electric vehicle. I do as well. So hopefully those numbers will continue to grow. And so here's a question is what are your plans and how do you address the requirements and the shifting demands on the grid as a result of the continued increase in number of EVs?
Yeah, and that is a great question. Bill, what do you drive, if I could ask?
Well, I drive a Tesla. And what do you drive, Deborah?
I also drive a Tesla, and I want you to know, though, when we bought our Tesla about a year ago, we bought a used Tesla. We bought a 2016 because it had the later half of 16 because it had the longer longer-lived battery, and I still get the free charge. So it was a good trade-off. We've done a lot of work in this space. I think I mentioned last summer in 2019, the state authorized our use of incentives for infrastructure. So we can't incent you to buy a car, but we can provide incentives, or will be able to provide incentives for the charging infrastructure. And where we're at in that process is we have to go to council, present a plan. That has obviously been slowed because of COVID and because the council's only doing emergency work, but we're expecting to take that plan forward in August. In anticipation of that legislation, because it took a couple of years, a couple of sessions to get it through, our folks, Lori's folks and people that work with Lori, put together an awesome and very thorough analysis with Rocky Mountain Institute. And so they partnered with us, looked at our system. We know we have distribution system constraints. We have a good idea where they are with respect to our transportation corridors. We have a plan to begin remedying those. I will say that, and I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but the constraints that I'm talking about really don't have anything to do with the car that Bill and I drive. A lot of people see, electric vehicles, that's the thing. Well, they are a thing, but and over time, they will certainly become a sizable, measurable portion of our load, because I am a believer. And so I do believe that we will continue to roll those out, and they will be what we all drive at some point in the future. But really the load impacts are in mass transit and for us in the port and ferries and cruise ships, et cetera. Now, the cruise ship industry has taken a huge hit through COVID. So, and we knew that that would be a challenge because many of the ships have already electrified. And so then they come into port. And as you can imagine, it is very, very peaky load. And so the need to size is really challenging. Again, I think we've got a little more time, and we actually came up with a pretty creative solution to provide a sufficient capacity to at least one of our terminals. But we will keep working at it. And I want to also just note that the work we did with Rocky Mountain was really focused on transportation. I don't know what the future of our building stock and our physical environment looks like. I think none of us do. But that is one of the reasons when I mentioned the project at the very end of my recorded speech, when I mentioned the project about grid modernization, grid enhancement, including things like distribution automation, et cetera. That's why that's so important, so that we really have the system in place that can manage that new traffic.
Great, thanks for that. So, normally when we meet in person in Seattle for our West Coast event, it's mainly regional attendees. Since we're doing virtual this year, we have attendees really from around the world joining us today. And, in addition to getting more women, more minorities, diversity in our workforce, we're also seeing that we certainly have a large percentage of the workforce that plan to retire in the next 10 years. So here's a question is, what advice would you have for female energy engineering students with their aim to establish a leadership career in the energy business?
Right. And I love that question, and I've had the opportunity to answer it at other times. Now, first of all, I am not an engineer, so and increasingly, I think we see leadership in utility and other previously very technical fields changing, or at least there is more diversity in terms of who we are and what we have. So, the advice I would give to a female engineering student is the same as I would give to a male. I'm an accountant, and I tend to be, in many ways, there's a lot of similarities between accountants and engineers because there's usually a right or a best way to do something. And there's ways to do things that are just wrong or dangerous. And so we can become overly black and white. So number one, need to focus on the possibility that there are lots of different ways to approach any solution, and that sometimes the best way, or the way we think it is the best, isn't the strategically best way in the long term. I think we all know that, and I don't like the word soft skills, but we haven't really come up with a better expression. But I think we recognize that our ability to provide leadership, to talk with people, to care about them. One of the things I always tell folks is that I believe every employee has a right to a supervisor that cares about them as a person. It doesn't mean that I have to want to go out to dinner with you or go have drinks after work with you. Those are two very different things. That's what I do with my friends. And I may have friends at work, which is great. We're all happier if we have friends at work. But my supervisor should care about the whole me. And I get to choose what I share with him or her, but they should care. And so some of us really love that. Nothing jazzes me more than to talk with people about their career, to talk about where they might go. I often say, I believe in the magic. I flip the switch, the lights come on, life is good. I can go to a substation and tell you what a bus is. I can identify the large pieces, but I don't really completely understand the whole thing. What I understand is people. So work on your people skills. And then I think most importantly is decide whether you like that. Because if you don't like people interaction, if that doesn't feed you, if it doesn't energize you, there are so many amazing ways to contribute, principal engineers and other folks, where you can build amazing things and do incredibly important work and not spend your time worrying about, somebody whose feelings got hurt, because quite honestly, that is your job. If you are in a leadership role, you are not there. You should not be there just because you are technically the best. It's great if you are, but you should be there because you love feeding people.
Great response. Great response. So we've got time for one or two final questions. Here's one: is Seattle City Light is certainly doing great work for your customers as we move towards a clean energy future. So what one recommendation would you have for the energy engineers, energy managers who are in attendance, who are on the front lines of implementing energy efficiency and renewable energy projects? What one recommendation for them?
Well, I believe that battery storage and the integration of battery storage as a primary form of distributed energy is where we will be. And I also am one of those believers who believe, people who believe in, the notion of electrification as the battery. So I think, EV to grid is something a place we will go. So in terms of what I would recommend to engineers, I would really look to the future. And I would, I think a hallmark of traditional electrical engineering has been around building things that will last a really, really, really long time. Overbuilding, that's my expression, but overbuilding our systems. So resilience has never mattered more. And at the same time, resources are limited. And so work on creativity and imagining a future that's different than the future today, and how the things you're learning can grow that future.
Great. Thanks for that. So one final question. This is kind of a personal note in things on a personal note is that, ultimately I think we're probably all in the people business, whether it's our staff, our clients, our associates, our family. We're certainly in the people business, and, looking and kind of doing some research. You and I have a lot in common. We both drive EVs. I found out we both have the same birthday, quite unique. Not many of those on January 7th. So, hey, it's great. And
I wonder who's older.
Yeah, we're not going there. I'm sure I'm much older. So.
I don't think so. I think I'm probably older than you would think.
Okay. So, and we both have grandsons. I have a 5-year-old grandson, Sebastian, in DC with his parents, and you have a 4-year-old grandson, Oliver, I believe. And so when we look at the future and our grandsons, so kind of a two-part. What's the best part about being a grandparent, and how does it affect your vision and your optimism for the future?
Oh, wow. Well, I think I think having kids and grandkids, it gives you hope. It gives you a reason to do what I just said, to think creatively, to think about what they'll want. I think our youth, and Oliver and Sebastian are a little young, but it won't take them very long. I think our youth want things that are different than what we want. I think as old timers, Bill, I'll be 60 in January. On January 7th, I'll be 60. So it'll be a big year. But I think, that's one of the things I talk about. Customers today, I talked about that. Customers want to be partners with us, and not just partners in their energy needs. They want us to partner with our environment, our community, to help create the community that we want our grandkids to live in. So for me, yeah, I love being a grandma. I'm Nana, by the way. I'm Nana, and my husband is Papa. And Oliver at 4 probably prefers Papa to Nana because Papa builds things with him and does things with him. But Nana talks to him and cuddles with him, and I know that as he gets older, because this was true with our kids, as he gets older, our ability to talk about what the future might look like and what his role in that future will be will grow. And so I want to continue to be that good Nana and help build that future for Oliver and Sebastian. Well, ironically, I'm taking dinner to a friend of mine from the city, and he has a 5-year-old son. He had a new baby a week or so ago, but he has a 5-year-old son named Sebastian. So
wow.
I need to go. Yeah, isn't that funny?
Great.
So
great.
Anyway.
Okay. Well,
thanks
for that. And just so you can go out on a win. And you shared, I turned 60 this past January. So there'd be no
Okay,
way.
so we're 1 year apart. There you
Yeah, we're
go.
the same. So, I really want to
Exactly.
thank you today for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I want to thank you for joining us for your address, your plenary address, and also for taking the time to answer questions from our attendees. And I want to once again thank Seattle City Light for their involvement and support of this event. And thanks again for all of your insight, your answers. We have a great day, and thanks once again.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Deborah. Okay.
Bye-bye. Nice to meet you. Take care.
Okay, nice to meet you. So looking ahead, what a great way to kick off the day. I think that was a fantastic opening, great interaction with Deborah. I want to thank her once again for her time. So looking ahead, immediately following this opening session, we'll move to our Innovative Technology Rapid Fire Showcase, where our exhibitors will be doing 3-minute segments of their products and services. Immediately following that, we'll have our virtual expo hall. So I would encourage everyone to go and visit with our exhibitors in their virtual booths. We'll have that going on from 10:30 until 12:30. We'll also have the AEE membership booth open and attendee networking, so you can set up direct chats with your fellow attendees. And this afternoon from 1 until 3 p.m., we're going to have 2 concurrent sessions. The first one is incentives, financing, and utility programs. And concurrently, we'll have building success stories. So I want to once again thank you for joining our opening session this morning. Once again, thank Deborah for her keynote address, and look forward to the Innovative Technology Showcase the rest of today. And we hope to see you again tomorrow for day 3 of the AEE West Energy Conference and Expo. Thank you very much.
Hello and good morning. My name is Diane McCullum, and welcome to our virtual edition of AE West Energy Conference and Expo. We're super excited to have our valued exhibitors join us and share with you the latest on energy savings. For the next 30 minutes, we will have a preview of their showcases. After the showcase preview, we invite you to join them in their virtual booth and learn more about their companies. I hope you have a wonderful conference and a great day. Thanks so much.
Carpentry is on a mission to make sure that smart buildings deliver on their promises. This mission is driven by our passion to challenge the status quo and our mantra to empower our customers to take greater control of their buildings. Long before sustainability became a buzzword, our founders were involved in energy audits and consulting. In 2011, Carpentry Analytics was formed as a response to the growing demand for building energy management services. Our unique heritage draws upon years of controls manufacturing and smart building experience. This means that we have an implicit understanding of the technology that controls buildings, as well as an understanding of the practicalities of maintaining them. Carpentry Analytics ensures that each customer receives a solution that results in time and resource savings. Our AI software, Kaizen, continuously monitors your building's performance, alerting you if a fault is detected or if performance is suboptimal. Our clients use this powerful tool to move from a reactive or preventative maintenance model to a data-driven, proactive maintenance approach. With no upfront capital investment and an affordable software-as-a-service usage fee, Kaizen results in time and resource savings for facility managers and cost savings for stakeholders. We deliver a comprehensive building analytics solution consisting of an energy information system and a fault detection and diagnostics platform with integrated system performance auditing. Carpentry Analytics can help you create operational efficiencies, reduce your building's energy consumption, and improve your bottom line.
Hi, I'm Jim. We hear it all the time. Why RCA lighting? Well, first of all, it's our 100th year in business. We actually invented the blue LED. We're experts at building power supplies, backlighting, cabinet design, and heat management. Get it? That's a television. Who else has been doing that for 100 years? And guess what? LED lighting fixtures have the same components. So please try us to experience our live tech support, same-day shipping, application engineers, and advanced replacement warranty. Find us at rcaled.com.
Imagine a world where our greatest environmental liability is transformed into a source for clean, renewable energy. Under a cooperative research and development agreement with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, a technology emerged with the ability to provide a sustainable approach to solid waste management and recycling, while also producing a high-quality solid fuel. Additional research collaboration with the U.S. Department of Energy and leading research scientists with the U.S. Air Force has resulted in the world's first continuous autoclave system. This proven technology can safely convert solid waste into an engineered fuel with cleaner emissions than natural gas and no toxic coal ash residuals. This refuse-derived solution solves two problems in that it provides on-demand power that can compete with traditional fossil fuels, and it virtually eliminates the dependency of landfills, eliminating the environmental liability of this outdated practice. This provides mission-critical security when used in a microgrid application to power critical infrastructure such as a wastewater treatment plant. The system can accept household and commercial waste, along with construction waste and biosolids. The engineered fuel can be easily stored on site, which means this forward-leaning technology allows a community to achieve energy security by maintaining a 14-day fuel supply at all times. Using blockchain, this opens the door to new innovations to remove unacceptable materials from the waste stream with robotic arms programmed by artificial intelligence. Through operational savings, we can incorporate electric-powered garbage trucks, which can also be used in a separate microgrid application. This groundbreaking technology will significantly improve energy security while maintaining the community's commitment to environmental conservation and stewardship. National Energy, your partner in energy resiliency.
Thank you for joining us for Nile Water Heating Systems and Overview. My name is Ryan Hamilton.
And my name is Jacob Buckland.
I am president of Nile Water Heating Systems, which is a division of Nile Systems. Jacob Buckland is our sales and applications engineer and can be contacted directly for any pre-sale or post-sale technical support needs. So briefly, just a quick background on Nile. Nile is a 40-year-old plus year-old company producing very large commercial and industrial equipment based on heat pump technology. And so you can see in the picture on the bottom right there, 2 large heat pumps that are providing dehumidification for lumber drying. So 40 years ago, the owner of the company, the founder of the company, recognized a need to lower the heat energy needed for drying lumber, in particular here in the Northeast, as the price of energy at that time was going up. That's during the big energy crisis of the late 70s. And so dehumidifying offered a low energy way of drying lumber. And since then, that technology has been applied to food and other industrial products. And then the heat pumps, which have been at the core of these drying systems for 40 years, is now being utilized to provide water heating for these types of applications, large commercial and industrial applications. The result of that is that today Nile Water Heating Systems is America's only commercial heat pump manufacturer with a 40-year track record of building this equipment. Nile manufactures the heat pumps from end to end. So we manufacture the electrical panels, the software that operates the machines, all of the structural steel and panels that go into and on the machines. Everything is manufactured in-house with in-house engineering and production. So unlike traditional water heating approaches, a heat pump water heater plant consists of several major components that make up the central system. And these components are very highly dependent on one another to operate efficiently and for a long period of time with very low maintenance. Contact information here, as you can see, for myself and Jacob Buckland. On the right-hand side, we have our sales service contact information. I do encourage you to utilize the sales email and the service email, as those are going to go into communication queues where multiple people are able to receive those messages rather than hitting one person specifically. And then lastly, obviously our website has a lot of information through installer resources, downloads of single line drawings and layouts and such. If you as a contractor or customer are not able to access information that you'd like and you have been working with a sales rep, we do work with sales reps in various parts of the country, and they have access to a rep portal where they can download much more information than what's publicly available. So if you're looking for something that's not available on the public website, you can contact your rep and ask them for it. And then lastly, our LinkedIn page, I do encourage you to go there and follow us on LinkedIn, as we post lots of updates about trainings, webinars, pictures of installations, product development, and things like that on LinkedIn.
No matter where we are or what we do, we consume energy. In apartment complexes, in public, commercial and industrial buildings, on the road. A bit more here, a little less there. But just who uses how much and who pays for what? That's where energy meters step in. But the requirements for these devices continue to grow, and barely any meet all of them. Planners not only want products that are easy to select, but also templates and ready-to-use tender texts for their planning tools. OEMs want small meters with a global design to do business in international markets. Installers and system integrators need an energy meter that is easy to install and integrate and enables them to complete more projects in the same time frame. And finally, there are the users, the building owners, and the facility managers. They want an energy meter that delivers reliable data and has low service costs. An energy meter that helps save money and prevent financial losses. There is now an energy meter that they all can count on. Emon Black from Honeywell.
We're creating this presentation as an information resource to enable you to get better control of your cooling and heating costs while you enjoy the comfort of your home. A basic law of physics is that heat always moves to cold. In the summertime, heat wants to get inside your cool house. In the wintertime, heat wants to get outside of your warm house. So the key to reducing utility costs is effective heat management. The common knowledge solution is add more insulation. More is not always better. Let's take a look at heat. In the house we have three kinds of heat. We have conductive heat, convective heat, and radiant heat. For illustration purposes, I'm walking into the house and there's a fire going in the fireplace. I feel the radiant heat on my body and my face. It's warming me up. I look into the fireplace and I see the smoke going up the chimney. That's convective heat. I take a poker and I put it in the fire. I feel the heat coming up and warming my hand. That's conductive heat. And in your house, the insulation, the purpose of insulation in your house is to delay conductive heat loss. As temperature and humidity increase, the ability for fiberglass insulation to delay conductive heat loss is dramatically reduced. In the summer, 93% of the heat getting in the attic is radiant heat. The heat heats up the insulation absorbs it and then releases into the inside of the house. In the winter, 50 to 75% of the heat loss is radiant heat. Insulation in the attic absorbs it and releases it into the attic. Radiant barrier is your home's first line of defense against radiant heat gain and radiant heat loss. The purpose of a radiant barrier is to reflect radiant heat. In the summer, 95% of this radiant heat is reflected back to its source, which reduces the amount of heat that the installation has to manage, which helps to delay the transfer into your living space. In the winter, radiant barrier reflects this heat back into the living space, 95% of this heat back into the living space. Unlike fiberglass insulation, the radiant barrier's efficiency is not affected by humidity or temperature increases. The hotter it gets, the better it works. The colder it gets, the better it works. What's the R value? When discussing insulation, whether it's the expensive foam, blown in, or fiberglass bat insulation, the R value is a measurement of its effectiveness. But all that R value tells you is how long the insulation delays the heat transfer from your attic to your living space. In effect, it buys you time. Radiant barrier doesn't delay the transfer of heat. It immediately reflects it back to its source. That's the big difference. And although our radiant barrier products do have an R value for building code purposes, comparing traditional insulation to radiant barrier is like comparing apples to oranges. Traditional insulation only delays heat transfer. Radiant barrier stops it and reflects it back to its source. Installing a radiant barrier in your attic reduces the amount of radiant heat gain in the summer, which reduces the air conditioner runtime, which reduces the amount of electricity you use, and it keeps your home nice, cool, and comfortable. In the winter, the radiant barrier in your home reduces the amount of radiant heat lost through the attic, which reduces the heating system's runtime and your utility costs while keeping your home warm and comfortable. Radiant barrier may be stapled to the rafters or laid upon the insulation in your attic. Radiant barrier is an investment, not a cost. When you install a radiant barrier in your home, it provides a permanent reduction in your utility costs for the life of your home. Energy costs continue to rise and are predicted to double in the next 5 years. As energy costs rise, the dollar amount of your savings also rises. Act today, start saving money right away.
Please support our sponsors and exhibitors by visiting their booths in the virtual expo hall. There are 2 ways to find a booth. In the left-hand column, you can go to Agenda, scroll down to Virtual Expo Hall, find the sponsor or exhibitor you would like to visit, and click Enter Room. Or, in the left-hand column, go to Exhibitor Directory and click on the sponsor or exhibitor you would like to visit. This will take you to their profile page that includes a company description and helpful resources and videos to help you learn more about the company or organization. From there, click Visit Booth. You will be taken to a virtual room where you can video chat live with representatives to learn more about the energy-saving products and services they offer. Thank you again for supporting our sponsors and exhibitors at AEE West. We hope you have a great day.